Good day, gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Brotherhood. We are a men's ministry attached to Sulphur Springs Baptist Church, located in Warrenton, North Carolina. We always meet on the last Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. If you are a man, or if you are a young man, or if you even are a boy, and you live in the area, you are welcome to attend. And we always have a good time. We always have excellent food and warm fellowship. We gather for the purpose of discussing charity, benevolence, and also be edified in the name of Jesus Christ. My name is Pastor Seth Miller, and I've been the pastor of Sulphur Springs Baptist Church for quite some time. And so let's go ahead and jump into the topic I want to discuss today. Now, if you have seen me in person lately, I have gotten pretty chubby. I have. As of right now, I probably weigh about 237 pounds. This is not the biggest I've ever been, but it's certainly on the big side. I rolled my ankle a while back, which interfered with my walking and my hiking and jogging. I had to wear one of those goofy looking boots, so that required me to sit around on my rear, and I gained weight. I also gained weight during the holidays, much like everyone else does, and I also had to recover from a pretty nasty surgery. This surgery after the holidays, after I rolled my ankle, required me to lay around in bed for about a week and a half, and even after that I was so tender I wasn't too big on doing the exercise. In fact, only now am I starting to feel up to the task of weightlifting and other things like that. So I am currently, now it's February 26th of 2018, I am currently trying to rethink my eating and exercise habits, and it is really hard. I love junk food, I love comfort food, I just love food. In fact, the only type of food I don't like is seafood, which ironically can be some of the most or more healthier things that you can eat, and here I am hating it, so I don't get the benefits of it. And I'm someone who usually has the problem of letting my weight fluctuate. I'm a person of extremes. So I'm either someone who's really trying hard to get thin and ripped, or I just don't care at all and allow myself to get too chubby. And as of right now, I'm in that phase. I'm chubby, but I don't really care. But I know that's not what I should be doing. So I say this because I have been thin before. I used to weightlift, or I would go and exercise outside, jogging, push-ups, etc. So I know what it's like to be thin. I know what it's like to be healthy. I know what it's like to be pretty committed to working out. And when I did work out, I always felt great and I looked better. But here's the problem, and this is what I want to talk about in this episode. I personally would fall into some spiritual traps that interfered with my relationship with Jesus and other people. So what I want to do with this episode is briefly discuss those traps that come with being healthy so we can avoid them. Because I want to lose weight, I want to be healthy, but I do not, in the process of losing weight and getting healthy, want to bring back these bad traits or bring back these traps, bring back these vices that I was guilty of. So I'm not trying to discourage anyone from being trim or healthy, but we have to be careful not to fall into these sins as we do so. And I do. I pick up some very poor, un-Christ-like character traits when I lose weight and get healthy, and I want to discuss the ones I usually fall into so that maybe if you can relate, we can all together avoid these. Alright, so first, I would find myself becoming extremely vain, arrogant, and that's something I already struggle with in the first place. I'm a vain, arrogant guy. I'm easily flattered, so I have to be careful and guard against this. And I would say this is true of most people, that as they lose weight, as they get more in shape, the more that they have a higher view of themselves and their physique. See, what I would do is I would sit around. Sometimes I would go and look at the mirror, and I would take a little closer look at myself, you know what I'm saying? And flatter myself in my mind. I would sit there and go, look at my tummy, it's getting smaller. Or I would look at my arms or whatever it may be, and this isn't right. And if people complimented me, I relished it, and it caused my head to swell. But why? Why was I trying so hard to impress other people? See, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be physically attractive. But as for me, and I am a married man, who am I trying to impress? Why should I be concerned about what other people who just randomly see me on the street, why should I be preoccupied with what they think of me? So if I am going to lose weight for the purpose of being attractive, I want to make sure that I'm doing it, yes, for my own basic confidence, but at the same time, so that my wife can enjoy me. That if my wife wants me to lose weight because she's concerned I'm getting too fat or I'm not aesthetically pleasing to her anymore, then I should lose weight for my sake and her sake, but no one else really. You understand? So don't be someone, if you are a God-fearing Christian, and you are, especially if you're married, don't go around trying to lose weight just so you can be someone who's showing off or being vain or so on. Secondly, another trap I would fall into is I would find myself becoming extremely judgmental. I would be judgmental of those who are not as disciplined as I was. I would sit around and wonder why anyone was fat at all. I would even talk about it out loud. Why no one should be fat is what I was saying. I mean, is it so hard to resist that soda, cheeseburger, or pizza? Oh, if only they would jog a little bit. You know, that's how I would be around people. When I see them in public, if I saw a big guy eating, I'd be like, come on, man, you could do better than that. Oh, and it would get worse. I wouldn't just critique people I randomly saw. I would even start critiquing those whom I love or had some type of relationship with. I would even be condescending towards my wife. If she brought home a Mountain Dew, I would sit there like, oh, do you know how many calories are in that? Oh, you know, if you cut out soda altogether, don't you know that you would probably lose weight? And it's not as if I was saying things that were false. But why am I going around just spouting out this information just to make people feel bad about themselves? And I would do that with my children. I would tell my son not to have seconds and everything. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of accountability amongst the family about our weight and everything. But if that's all I did, if all I'm doing is sit around critiquing people that I love or just critiquing strangers, I would say that's a poor attitude to have. Third, I would find myself extremely isolated. You know, if you work out a lot, you know, do you tend not to be around other people? I would spend an hour or two outside working out while my wife was inside handling the children, cooking, and helping with their homework so that I could go outside and do what I had to do. That was my favorite way to exercise. I just like to jog around the church, jog around the community. I would like to do pull-ups on anything that would support me. I'd like to do push-ups. I have a couple of dumbbells I work out, you know, but that all takes time. And so I would just hang out by myself, listening to podcasts or listening to music. And also, I found myself turning down dinner invites because if I was going to someone's house and their food that they were offering was too fatty, I would just rather avoid it altogether. Or even, I was a vegetarian for almost a year and a half, and it got to the point that people didn't want to invite me or they didn't want to cook for me because it was too difficult. And so, I found myself isolated. I wasn't around people as much as I would like to be. And also, I would spend time researching health tips or recipes. I mean, it can be, if not done correctly, being a workout junkie or a health nut, it can be an isolating hobby that prevented me from enjoying simple gatherings or get-togethers. And sure, someone could sit around and be like, well, get your whole family on it. Well, maybe not everybody is in on it. Do you see what I'm saying? If I like comics, it doesn't mean that everybody in my house has to like comics. Or if I like hunting, it doesn't mean everybody else has to. And I get the idea of supporting one another in each other's hobbies. But does everybody have to go to the same extreme that I was going? And what I found myself is I was lonely, you know, because I felt like no one was on the same page with me. No one saw things the way I saw things. And then I would go outside and work out by myself. And I was just isolating people. So you got to be careful with that. And fourth, and this was the more serious problem that I was having, I would find myself becoming extremely off track when it came to kingdom work. Instead of concerning myself with the kingdom of God, I was more concerned about my health. I'll be honest, I was. I allowed it to interfere with prayer, studying. I mean, it's very hard to study when you're outside jogging. Certainly with sermon preparation, because certain sermon preparation usually requires you to sit at a desk and write. I would allow it to interfere with my visitation of my folks inside my church or my shut-ins, because I wanted to jog. I usually jogged in the evening, but I would choose to do that instead of going out. And other Christian disciplines as well. So I found myself behind all the time in these spiritual disciplines. I wasn't fasting. I wasn't praying as well as I should. Wasn't reading my Bible, nor was I studying. So I was more concerned about having a size 34 waist instead of being a godly family man and a godly church man. And of course, enjoying Jesus, just being in perfect communion. Well, not, you know what I mean, but in great communion with Him. That I was isolating myself from Him as well, and that is not what Christ wanted for me. And so I found myself really isolated, not only from other people, but also from Jesus. And yes, it could be argued, and a lot of people, well, you can pray while you're jogging. Well, that's true. You can. And I'm not saying that you can't find that happy medium or some way of making it work. But for me, and I'm talking about from my viewpoint, it was very difficult. So my advice is this, that if you're going to lose weight, do it for the right reasons. I'm not anti-weight loss. I'm not anti exercise. I'm not anti of wanting to have a really good stout body. There's nothing wrong with that, but just do it for the right reasons. Having a confidence boost is one thing. Being arrogant is another. There's nothing wrong with losing weight and you feel better about yourself. That one of my favorite things about losing weight was just feeling better in your clothes. Your pants felt better and your shirt felt better. There's nothing wrong with that. But just to sit there and say, I wonder what that person thought of me when I walked in the room, that is bold-faced arrogance. Certainly, being sexually attractive for your spouse is a good thing, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, one of the reasons why I keep my body fit and trim is because I know that my wife appreciates it. And vice versa. Women can do that too for their husband. And that's the point. Be concerned about each other's preferences. I need to be concerned about her preferences. So in other words, if I'm sitting here convincing myself, well, my wife wants me to have a six-pack, and that means I'm going to have to change my diet, seriously change it, and spend all my time outside, and she's missing me. I think honestly with my wife doesn't mind that I'm a little chubby if that means I get to spend more time with her. And so I got to stop thinking that my wife wants all these things in a man and listen to her. That I need to be concerned about her preferences and not worry about what the woman population in general is concerned about. I'm sure in general most women like fit men, but I don't have to be concerned about all other women, right? I just need to be concerned about my wife. And so if my wife tells me I'm starting to get a little chubby and need to work out, you better believe I'm going to. Or if she says, you know what, you're taking this too far, I want you to tone it back a little bit, I should listen. So stop worrying about other people's habits too. No one likes the guy who's constantly going on about how fattening a donut is. I used to be that way, and I used to tell people that while they were eating a donut. There's nothing wrong with having a good food or should I say fattening food every once in a while, so long as we do it in moderation. And yes, change your diet, but don't let your diet interfere with being around your families and friends. Do simple exercises with your family. If you do want to work out and exercise and you find yourself isolated, why don't you say, hey, why don't we try and do this together? And it doesn't have to be something crazy over top. Just go for a stroll through the neighborhood. Be active, without the goal of being ripped. If you can get ripped and it's easy for you and you can do it by means of balancing your life and your walk with Christ, by all means do it. But I can't. And so I'm going to have to be one of those that's content with being healthy, being a little bit trim, and not have heart-related issues or develop diabetes and other things that come with excess weight gain. And finally, being healthy is important, and we should take care of our bodies, but our relationship with Jesus is more important, and our duty to Him should supersede everything. We understand that exercising the body profits you, but spiritual discipline and seeking Christ profits you more. Guys, I appreciate the time you took to listen to me. Keep coming back, and I promise to keep discussing important issues that men face. And may the men of God direct other men to the man God, Jesus Christ. Have a blessed day.